Welcome to Biggest Geek-Ass. This is Shorties. We're your host. I'm Randy.
I'm Joe.
This is a special mini episode we'll do from time to time, often to answer call-in questions and comments, along with anything else that comes to mind. This is going to be Shorties episode 1, and the date is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. Man, long time no see, Joseph.
Yeah, it's a whole, not even 24 hours.
I know, it's just sad. I can't be without you that long. It just seems to be the case.
Right. Well, you're seeing me now with actual heat in my house, with more than nominal heat, we'll say.
Yeah, you had some issues this morning, and it's cold up here in Michigan, folks.
Yeah,
Don't even kid yourself.
My fan belt broke in my furnace.
Yeah.
So I had to fix that. It's an easy fix. No tools needed, just the fan belt. Stick it on there and turn it around. Also, this is a special episode because we are doing it live.
In a way.
The intro music, instead of sticking on the front after the fact, we've played it in our recording setup, and hopefully it works out.
You know, Joe is just expanding his skills outside of fixing things in post. He fixes crap right in the middle of the podcast.
Yes, do it live.
So this is going to be. Go ahead. Yeah.
This is inspired by the way. The No Agenda Show, which is not an RPG podcast at all, but it's a good podcast, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
With Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. The way they do things. Adam Curry is the podfather of podcasting. If you ever find out what the true history of podcasting is, you'll figure that out.
Okay, cool. Oh, so anyway, yeah, and some of the other podcasts we do listen to, like John Allen Large, and Jason, who's going to have a comment from Nerds RPG Variety Cast. He does this too. They'll have just call-in episodes, and we're planning to leave ours a little more open. This maybe just call in. It maybe we're going to have some random thoughts if we have them. It could be really short, might be a little longer than a few minutes. We'll see how it goes. But I think we got our call from Jason right now, don't we, bud?
Yes, we do, and I am pushing the play button.
Do it.
Here's an article goes. The rules in printing. I think the first.
Oops.
From the beginning.
Yes.
Hey guys, the other Jason here, not cousin Jason or Jason Hobbs. By the way, Jason Hobbs is a pretty cool guy. Don't cancel him. But I wanted to call you, comment on some of your discussion. I'm 35 minutes into your discussion, but I'm having an adult beverage this morning, and I don't want to forget what I want to say. As far as the John Peterson article goes, the rules in printing. I think the first set of rules you play do imprint. I don't think he's necessarily talking about D&D, and apparently the first rules all you guys played was D&D, so that makes sense. I first played D&D, the Mincer Red Box set solo, and I had some AD&D books, but the first game I GM'd was Marvel Superheroes, TSR Marvel Superheroes, but that's neither here nor there. Imprinting. So I know a young lady named Liren who has a podcast called Updates from the Middle of Nowhere, and the first game she played was a Powered by the Apocalypse game. Pretty sure that's right. Regardless, it was a story game of some sort, and I don't use that as a negative because I enjoy those games too. Her husband Jeff ran it. He has the podcast Tome of All Dooms. Anyway, but so Liren looks at all these games from the Powered by Apocalypse view. So I think whatever the first game you play, whether it's D&D or Rollmaster or Cypher or Powered by the Apocalypse, that colors your view of what role-playing games are. So when you approach a new system, you're looking at it from that other view. Now, I do fully agree that the rules have zero to do with role-playing. The idea you can't role-play in 3rd edition or 4th edition, that's, in fact, that's one of the complaints I've heard about 4th edition D&D, is it doesn't have rules to support role-playing. Who cares? Do you need rules to support role-playing? No, you need combat rules, and then you just role-play. There's no need to have rules to support role-playing. That's crazy talk. But your guest, who seems like kind of smart guy here 35 minutes in, talks about, or no, one of you, I don't know, like I said, I'm drinking. Anyway, point being, somebody said they want to hear why 3rd edition is not D&D. And I'll give you an answer to that, because it's not TSR. So TSR made D&D, WotC does their own thing. Okay, there's your controversial statement for the day. I do agree, though, 100%, that those 4 types of gamers mentioned in that article, power gamers, war gamers, storytellers, and role players, I think that's kind of cool. I don't think people are 100% one of those categories. I think we have, a sliding scale where we fall. But I think most people fall somewhat in those categories, and I think that's still valid today, without a doubt. Some people want to inhabit the roles of the characters. Some want to just, play an adventure game. Some want a power game. And none of some want to tell a story. And none of those are bad, as long as everybody else on the table is down with that kind of play. So I'm not a bad, wrong, fun guy. I think it's all fine, as long as your group agrees with how you're doing it, right? As long as your group's happy with what you're doing, drive on, my friend. Anyhow, I'm going to listen to the rest of your show, and I'll call you back later. Okay, guys, finish the podcast. I want to apologize about cursing on your show. Sorry about that. Just didn't expect to see a deer slide under an SUV. It's funny. I remember I was in high school. I went to a buddy's graduation from OCS, from Officer Candidate School with the Marine Corps, and I went there with his mom, and he came over, and he's like, "Hey, Mom, how'd you like the shit?" And she looked at him and goes, "Oh, sorry, combat mouth." So, Anyway, the Order of Stick is rad. Love the Order of Stick. I even had the board game from back, years, like a decade ago or something like that. But, yeah, I still follow the Order of the Stick. In fact, you can follow Richard Burlew, is that his name? On Patreon. I support him on Patreon. Saturday Night Live, when it was good, definitely. The original, not for primetime players, are still the best. Love those original episodes, Saturday Night Live. And with that, I'm going to leave you alone. I'll watch for your next episode. Take care.
Oh, I tell you what, one of the first things I wanted to say is I do appreciate Jason, and he doesn't have to qualify his name now, because I've heard him in other podcasts. I don't know about you, but I can recognize his voice. So
yeah,
he can just say, "We won't screw it up." No, I won't screw it up next time. So
yeah, whenever I've heard him comment mostly on Red Dice Diaries. I'm not sure if he's commented on Tenkars or
I feel like maybe once. I've heard him on Role Play Rescue and a few others, but yeah, I've heard Jason around. He's definitely a dude in the know. And with the language, he doesn't have to worry about it either.
Nah.
I love combat mouth. Honestly, this fellow right here that podcasts with me is one of the more impressive people for not using bad language. I've been known to slip up even during our podcast. And when Joe came back from the military, I don't think your mouth was that bad. I think you said a few words you didn't say before, but I wouldn't call them curse words. When we were young, you were a teetotaler. I was impressed. Kept yourself pretty straight.
Well, a lot of corporal punishment with regards to bad language taught me at a very young age.
Right.
But I don't really hold anybody I don't think less of anybody if they cuss. It depends, though. I mean, if the F-bomb is the way you punctuate every one of your sentences, then I might. But
yeah, it gets a little wrong.
Yeah.
But I want to say that we weren't really trying to cancel Hobbs. I think Jason got it, but I don't know the Hobbs guy, but I know he has a pretty good podcast, and we're not canceling, at least not yet, anyway. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you have to understand, Jason, that you take whatever I say a lot of times with a grain of salt. Well, quite possibly a giant bag of salt, but I'm just joking around like 95% of the time. So
sure,
yeah, it's all good, man. It's all cool.
Plus, we don't have the ability to cancel.
No, I wouldn't want that ability, and that would be utterly stupid. Even if Jason Hobbs posted had the worst podcast in my opinion in history and was opposite of everything I believed, I still wouldn't want him canceled, because he probably has some followers and he might need it. Who knows? I don't know. He might need money. I don't know.
I say everybody gets to talk, and then everybody gets to figure out what they like to hear and then turn off what they don't like.
Right on, baby.
I mean, on their own devices.
Yeah, on their own devices. So he had some good things, and I listed there some of my thoughts, and you might have some too with this. First, about imprinting rules. Your first time you play an RPG, I think he's right. I think you get imprint. I think D&D imprinted on me. I think it does color my view of other RPGs, and clearly we've played that pretty much primarily in our lives.
Yeah, I know I've played a lot of other types of games. I probably have a little bit bigger variety than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's largely due, I think, to joining the Army and going out into the world, the wide world, a little bit sooner than you did.
Sure.
While I was out in the world of Germany, you were in college, and I just met a lot of different kinds of role players, and that's where I played. I think Champions, Vampire a little bit, and a few other games. So
yeah, it took me a while. That's why I was like, I went to a local community, kind of a community college, it's a local Indiana university near our home, and then I transferred sophomore, beginning of junior year to IU Bloomington, and I got exposed to more RPGs and tried some out. Though at home, I did try a few things. Joe, when you were gone, we did try Rifts. We kind of like that. We did Marvel Superhero. We did a few things when you were there too. So, but yeah, D&D is always, I think for me, and probably you too, you always came back to it. I mean,
sure.
I've yet to meet a game that would fully take me away from Dungeons and Dragons. I just can't even see it.
Right.
Yeah. What about his comment?
Agree.
Yeah, and he also made a comment I thought was interesting that his first. This always fascinates me. I think I'd commented this once before. His first RPG was solo playing Mincer Redbox, and he had some AD&D books. But he first GM'd Phase Rip. I wonder. This is a question for Jason. I'm loving to call back. Did D&D imprint on him, or did he have more of a? Was he affected more by running a game? I wonder if GMing or DMing would cause you to have even a deeper imprint.
It might, because as a DM, you get more. I think the players get invested in the rules that the players use.
Yeah.
But that's a small section of the overall rules.
Right.
The DM gets more, probably more imprinted by how you run a game and world building and those kinds of things. I mean, especially then when players were much less involved in the world building aspects of the game.
Yeah, I think too, as a DM, I mean 90% DM, you have to know the player stuff too. I mean, I don't know Wizards as well as say Joe, but when we're playing second edition, it's not like I didn't have a clue how Wizards worked. I knew quite well how they worked.
Right.
And then I had to know all things about the world, about running the game, about things Joe would not have to worry about, and it's okay. But at DM by default, generally a good GM is going to probably have a larger breadth of knowledge of the game than the players, generally speaking, but not always. I mean, we know that changes and that varies some.
Right.
Yeah.
It does.
What'd you think? I love his bold statement. Third edition is not D&D. It isn't TSR.
Right. And
what'd you think of that? I disagree, but I love it. I disagree, but I love it.
I can understand why people think that way.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly third edition and leading up to third edition with the players option and GM and DM option books probably made it seem like, well, it did. They did go in maybe a slightly different direction than Wizards than TSR was going in or went in, but of course they did, because it's a different company. And
they had to put their imprint on the game.
Right. So, but the license is theirs, and the basic skeleton of D&D from prior editions is still there. It might be less anything else than an implied play style that Wizards of the Coast brought in.
I think from reading, I've been reading a lot of articles from the old school guys. I mean, like, Tim Kask and some of the early guys, and watching that Secrets of Blackmore, I think they probably, I don't know, because early on they were like, do what you want. They were all about D&D's. This is just some guidelines. Do what you want. And reading the Swords and Wizardry white box, which I recently got the PDF download, I was looking at, and I was like, well, just reading it, I was kind of excited to play it because it was always like, hey, this is cool, but do whatever you want. And this is an idea for about a Baylor, but whatever you think is cool. And I was like, I kind of like that. So I do technically disagree with Jason's comment. So I see where they're coming from. I do think 3 was definitely D&D. It looked like D&D. It had a lot of new changes. So I get the bristling. We kind of bristled at 4. I mean, at first, I remember making statements like it doesn't feel like D&D.
Sure.
So, and I mean, it still has. And a lot of folks that played it would disagree with us.
Sure. But it's very subjective. I don't know that you could make an objective ruling on it. It's all subjective.
You couldn't make a proof and say you're wrong and you're going to court and you're paying me money because you think wrong.
Right.
And he made comments about the 4 types of players. I do agree too. That I think that's essentially it. Your power gamers, war gamers, role players, and storytellers. I think people fit on a spectrum and probably vary even sometimes from night to night. When you play, when session to session, you may feel a little more role play one night. You may just want to kill monsters and fight, and another night you want to strategize and win the scenario. So, yeah, you never know.
I know me personally. I think I've gone through various iterations of these types of gamers, and if I'm tired, which is frequent because I'm old. I can default to I just want to roll dice.
Yeah. Can we just kill some stuff?
Yeah. I don't want to think a whole lot today. I generally tend to dive in, even if I start a session feeling that way, I generally tend to dive into the scenario and try to act up some.
Yeah. And that's honestly the great thing about D&D compared to a lot of other games I've played. Like we're playing Savage Worlds this Saturday, continuing our campaign. I don't think that game's as easy for me to like, oh, okay, let's just fight some stuff, put some more stuff and fight. Because I can, but it could get ugly.
It's easy. The swinginess of Savage Worlds, which is kind of nice because it makes it somewhat unpredictable. Can make it very difficult for you to say, yeah, let's just roll in there into a dungeon and mix it up with some bad guys. No, you don't really want to do that in Savage Worlds very much.
And your character's as good as anybody else, but like your first roll when you were sneaking awesome, but after that, you mostly rolled like poop that night, didn't you?
Yeah, that last session.
Yeah, it was not great.
I think the first session was really good. I did good rolls. But the second session, I was third tier character that night.
Dude, and no doubt Joyce and actually Jen, I thought they were 1-2.
Oh yeah.
Joyce kind of stole the night. She just kicked the poop out of stuff and used her special I get birthday Benny out. And so my players listening need to remind me of that. Playing Savage Worlds, you get a special birthday Benny. And she used that to great effect, which I thought was super cool. And so she had a really good night. So
did we avoid playing in January just so I wouldn't get a birthday Benny?
Well, that seems unfair. That may have been the case. Is this Joe asking for a belated birthday?
No. I am just trying to point out an inconsistency. I don't need any special treatment.
I would say that wouldn't be beyond me. So, and not give you a birthday Benny. Maybe I'll save it for CavinCon, dude. Belated birthday Benny for Joe. That'd be great, like in the middle of June.
Although my 50th birthday, I had a massive. It was like all Benny the whole night.
Yeah. Dude, Joe got to play super powerful wizard in my 13th age game, dominated the whole world. It was pretty sweet.
I think that everything turned a little bit after that because I haven't been able to use a single thing gained from that night with a single character afterwards.
You mean like gear and stuff?
Yeah, because there was in-game stuff that happened, but I think I haven't played any of those characters in like a Butch. I haven't played Butch in Pathfinder, I think, since then. Well, yeah. And I know that's not true. He just didn't receive all of the pink sparkly stuff that I was awarded for various characters that day.
Well, and that night, I think you played. We played like between first and fourth level. 13th age was about it, and then I just rocketed. I just made some 10th level total BA characters, and you got to play an awesome wizard, but he wasn't really a character you had worked up. But it was a good one shot. I mean,
sure. It was really fun, but no, I don't need special treatment. So I'm just
good.
pointing it out. Just pointing it out for everybody.
Yeah, he mentioned Order of the Stick too at the end. I guess I still like that. I noticed I got some of their collected comics, so I do really enjoy them too. But so I agree on that. So I only disagreed on one thing, and that's okay.
Order of the Stick is really cool.
Yeah,
excellent. I read it all online because they have all of their strips online. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they have anything printed that's not readable online. I don't think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But
yeah, maybe not. I think the printed stuff I have is older. It's been several years old, so I'm behind the curve. But I haven't been keeping up. But I do like to read it. Well, Jason, just please keep calling in. We appreciate your comments, and don't worry about trying to identify yourself. You say Jason, we'll know.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a second segment, which may or may not fly. Again, we're halfway pulling this out our butts, called Winging It. It's the only other segment I really want to do on a show like this. And that's just, hey, do you have anything? Was there anything today or recently you've been kind of bouncing around in your noggin you wanted to talk about game-wise? Or is this too much furnace failure to get you thinking about gaming?
Well, I did have that. That's been on. Well, considering we both dumped our RPG commentary just less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
I've been mostly in. We were doing the furnace thing and shoveling a bunch of snow and celebrating Valentine's Day a little late because we really couldn't find. We didn't on Sunday because we wanted to go out to eat and we knew that it would be crowded even if we could find a place.
Right.
And I'm kind of detoxing off of Mountain Dew and caffeine in general. And it hit me really hard yesterday.
Yeah. It takes me about 2 days when I try to kick caffeine, I come back to it. But when I do kick it, the first 2 days are the hardest and then it starts to.
Yeah. Like today is a little bit sluggish, but not as much.
Yeah.
But so today we tried to, and none of the places we wanted to go to were open yet.
Boom.
As far as one of them doesn't open until next Wednesday because of our glorious governor's fantastically
stupid rules.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how we get to live here in the big state of Michigan.
Yeah.
But I have done some running this afternoon. My wife's a big fan of Facebook Marketplace, and she found me something sweet today. I got the 4 seasons. I think it's all 4 seasons. I think it's only 4 of Monty Python's Holy Grail TV show on disc for $10. $10. All 8
okay.
Discs. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And while I was out, I was listening to some of our old podcasts, and it just got me thinking about this. It's probably more of a people thing than a gamer thing. We've talked about our favorite edition of D&D and how we like to build characters with this edition or that edition. And I noticed that I'm kind of two-faced hypocrite. I can't decide whether it's 2nd, 3rd, or 5th. That's my favorite. Just can't. And I think in the end, as an old dude, 5e is easy because it's there, it's accessible. 3rd edition, I had a lot of fun. 2nd edition, I had a lot of fun. But last night, like I said, I'm really feeling the old stuff, and just today I couldn't stop thinking. I'm like, I want to get into some old school gaming. I really do.
Right. You know what something we mentioned, highlighted yesterday on the podcast, regular episode, was predictability. And we thought that would be a good fodder for episode, but it may not be enough to make a full one. So you want to talk about that now, or do you think that we need to do a little prep before we can do it justice?
I think I'd like to do a little prep before I can do it justice.
Okay.
And then we'll get to it. But I mean, but I've just been thinking about what I've been thinking about gaming all day. And I re-listened to our old podcast, I think, because, well, first of all, we're totally hilarious. Second of all, it's it helps me think what I've said. And then I hate catching myself like, oh, I've said the opposite of that. So as people, we are so flawed. Human beings are so flawed. But hey, we're all we got. So
yeah, we are. There's no helping that.
God made us in His image, so there's something good about us. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Right. I guess I listened to the Red Dice Diaries today while I was tooling around doing my errands and fixing the furnace. The Gibbering Mouther.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, it's a good episode. It is really cool how they delve into a single monster, and he leaves it up to Hannah pretty much.
Well, Hannah does a great job of describing the monsters through the additions and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, one of her main contributions is coming up with how do you use it? What are some good ideas for using it in a game or in a campaign or whatever. Mm-hmm. And before he even did that segue, she had already come up with one interesting thing about how a gibbering mouther could be the spawn kind of larval stage of a Shoggoth monster, which is horrific. I mean, a gibbering mouther is bad enough as it is.
Yeah. Which means kill that dang thing fast. Don't let it grow.
Right. And I was the rest of the day, I was thinking about how cool it would be to how to have an element of horror in an RPG game.
Yep.
I'm not really big on it because I don't, it doesn't really float my boat really.
Sure.
Well, movies and stuff, because they're usually just stupid. But
the premises can be rough, and people they do dumb stuff.
Yeah, they rely on most of the premises of most horror movies rely on the stupidity of the main characters, and not necessarily just on the badness of the bad guy. But some cool ways to hold back on. Actually, it'd probably work really well in a Savage Worlds game.
Yep.
Especially with what we were talking about earlier about how you don't want to engage in combat all that much. Mm-hmm. But with a gibbering mouther, she was mentioning how it would be cool to have snatches of it here and there in different scenes, and hold off on actually meeting it. And so did John. He mentioned that too. So they both kind of talked about that and using sounds and stuff like that. And I thought, that'd be cool to pull off.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
You could actually get drawn into it that way instead of, what do you do? What does your character do today? He goes off by himself into that outhouse over there that, has some Cthulhu symbols scrawled all over it. No problem. I'll be right back.
Right.
Don't wait. Don't worry unless I'm gone for more than an hour.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I thought John's suggestion of I never thought of it, taking a lot of sound bites of people talking and playing them all at the same time. Have like 10 different people. I'm like, that would sound like a gibbering mouther. It sounds like chaos, and that would be cool, especially.
It sound creepy.
Yeah, especially on Zoom.
Sure. And you can probably.
I don't know if it'd be more fun. I'm sorry, Joe. Would it be more? I think it'd be more fun for me if I did that just to play it, not say anything, and you go, because I know you'd be like, "What is that sound?" And I'd be like, "Oh, your character kind of wonders that. He hears that off, in the distance."
Especially if you can. I don't know if you can target sound in Zoom for only one.
That would be cool.
Player to hear. That would be cool. And then, I also thought it would be cool a way to describe how the confusion works, where you end up attacking your buddies.
Yes. Where
once you fail the saving throw, you don't see anything else but the gibbering mouther. So if something or someone comes up close to you, it doesn't look like them. It looks like it. And you're like, ah!
Right, exactly. That would be a perfect way. And confusion is probably like that. I mean, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way, really. I should have. But confusion is probably a spell that makes you see the wrong things. You're confused at it's not like you look at your friend like, I hate my friend. It's like you look at your friend and you're not seeing what you think what you should be seeing. Yeah.
It could even be something even more weird, like your friend walks up to you and then it morphs into a gibbering mouther or some other weirdo creature that you've fought in the past or something like that really scared you. Yeah, that would be a good way to play it.
Cool. All right. Cool. Well, I think I think this is a good place to call this little shorty.
Well, it could be, and as soon as when we're doing this live.
Yeah, we are
doing new things,
messing around.
So
Joe's not fixing it in post. He's fixing it right in the episode.
So.
All right. This is Randy.
And this is Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.
All right. So we screwed that up.
That's okay. No, I think it's good. I kind of not. Do you want to put all the plug stuff in there?
What do you mean?
Oh, you were talking about the sound thing didn't work right.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I said go ahead, you hesitated quite a bit. So.
Oh, I did. That's okay. We'll figure it out. When you say that, you mean I'm thinking we want to take off in these shorty episodes. Let's not do our plug stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
You know?
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah. How about we redo the end, and then I'll just edit the file.
Okay. So what? I mean, because there was too much of a pause.
Yeah. The sound really grounded you out.
All right. We'll try it again. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is Randy.
And this is Joe.
Remember, if you can't be big like us, be geeks like us.